slides at this time. So when do you know if your league needs revitalization? Well, we have a couple different things that could be pinpoints of you might need revitalization if. This is like a laundry list of things that would be signals. When you have low attendance, no membership growth, under league strength. So when we charter new leagues in ABWA, the minimum number is 30. So when we fall below that 30, we are not as strong as a league. We might have difficulty filling positions, and it becomes more challenging to keep your members engaged. That's why that 30 is the threshold for level 3 best practices. Retention of members is poor, committees not functioning, difficult to find officers or chairs. Hopefully, all of your leagues have identified the slate of officers for the board elections that should be happening this month in May. And that if you're having a difficult time filling those roles, that is a sign that maybe we need to focus a little bit on revitalization. Leadership training is lacking, poor communication between the board and members, no evaluation with members' input. So did your league do the member interest survey as part of best practices to help plan out your year? No long-range strategic plan in place. This is, again, one of those best practices puzzle pieces that when we are looking at the evaluation of our league and filling out the survey, evaluating where you need to focus your efforts for improvement, that's part of creating the strategic plan for your league. No representation at conference, no representation at district events. If you don't have members that are engaged at your monthly events, you might need to revitalize. Negativity among members, cliques, not working as a team, resistance to change and new ideas, closed-minded, or if you have officers or chairs that are discouraged. These are all signals or signs that maybe if you have one of these, your league may not be struggling, but if you have several of these or multiple yeses on this slide, these are things that maybe we want to focus on. And I'm going to give you some tips and tools today to help you help your members and leaders with revitalization. So one of the things that we have to look at in terms of the culture in our society today and professional associations, the landscape has changed, and some people, specifically millennials, might question, are we still relevant? Millennials specifically, this is a mindset shift that we have to address, and a generational shift in their attitudes about membership organizations, not just about ABWA, but all membership organizations. They don't necessarily see the value in it. And we're going to talk about value later, but this is something that you need to be aware of, because when we're trying to target our millennial or our young professional population to grow and revitalize our league with future leaders of the association, we have to understand their mindset and where their perceptions are so we can dispel anything, any misnomers. Previously, boomers who founded a lot of the professional associations and have been members for their entire career have a deep connection with these long-standing traditions like we have in ABWA. So we have to figure out where to bridge the gap between our experienced long-standing members and our prospective members of the millennials. So when someone says, are we still relevant? I say absolutely yes, we are. If I didn't think we're not relevant, I wouldn't be here, and neither would you. So the challenge that I have for you is to share the message of why are we still relevant? with our target members. And we're going to talk a little bit about that. Part of bridging that gap with our millennials and our prospective members is the concept of value. So some of the things that we can do is ask members, what are the top 3 benefits that they've received from their membership? Keeping in mind that every individual is different. And so what the value for one person, the things that they find most important, may be very different from another member. And there may be overlap as well. But the key here is that we have value statements from our members, and we can evaluate what are the most important things to the members that we're serving. What is the number one benefit to them? And how did that top benefit help them in the past year? Finally, asking what one thing could the league add to the member experience that would make it more valuable? And that opens up the conversation with your members about things that maybe you could be offering to add to the value that you're already providing. There are some tools that you can utilize that have been created by your ambassadors across the country, amazing tools to help support this concept of value. The first is the Knowing Your ABWA Benefits and Resources PowerPoint. This presentation has been done at the spring conference. The PowerPoint is available in Community Connections for download. There's also a What's in It for Me flyer that has been created by the ambassador team in Community Connections. At this time, because we're talking, I want this to be interactive because we all have great ideas and we can share our ideas and things that we're doing in our leagues. So I'd like to hear from some of you. What do you think, for you personally, what is your number one ABWA benefit? You can either put it in the chat or you can unmute, but I'd like for everyone to kind of participate and share. What do you think is the number one? Bonnie?
For me, it's the networking that I get from the positive mentorship that I get. And that's absolutely what I needed in my life and what I needed personally, professionally. And our group is so inspiring. Like every meeting I leave just in a better mood with better, I just can't really, they're just great. So
okay. Mentoring and networking. Other ideas, what other benefits? If that's not your top benefit, what is?
Mine is the friendships and the camaraderie that we have, not only in our own leagues, but across District 2 and across the United States. I've met so many wonderful women at conferences and through Zoom. And for me, it's just, that's that safe place that I can come to and know that someone else is going to be right there. And it's the little pat on the backs and things like that. That's what I come and stay for.
I love that you brought that up because this is something I belong to several professional associations for my industry. And this is something that's very specific and unique to ABWA that I have not experienced in any other of the professional associations that I belong to. Sure, I have friends and connections in other professional associations, but when we talk to ABWA longstanding members, sisterhood, those close bonded friendships are things that come up very frequently. So that would be a great thing to bring up with prospective members. I saw Barbara was trying to talk earlier.
Yeah, it actually kind of carries on with what you're saying. It's a support system. I mean, we're all dealing with so many difficulties and challenges in our life. And when we can come together and have the support of the people in ABWA, it really helps you get through some of the challenges that we're going through, you know. And it's like one of the things I pointed out in my top 10 story was that I was able to get the strength from my ABWA sisters until I was able to get the strength for myself. And I think that's super powerful when we have that type of environment that we can support each other through the challenges.
Excellent.
Yeah,
Does anyone have a different, Ruth?
well, you were going to say different, but I would say
Oh,
the same.
that's okay.
I joined because I needed friends, and I loved that we had 80 something and college students in the same chapter, and there was a connection there. And I just felt like I needed friends, but there's so much of a bigger picture. And now my daughter has been the recipient of the SBMEF outright scholarship. And so there's an obvious financial value. But when she comes to our meeting, she just feels supported. The women there are on her side, and she, if she has insecurities, things like that, it's like she just feels at home there. And that's the same thing that I feel. So I think that that's one thing that we have that's really, really special.
Thank you for sharing that. We had some comments in the chat. I love the diverse fellowship of women, leadership growth, friendship and mentorship, leadership opportunities, the opportunity to help others grow and see their success, supporting others, diversity in the leagues, finding untapped gifts in others. So there's a lot of different values. And
Hey, Carla,
remember
the
that-
other, I was say the one other thing I was going to say too is kind of going along with the, somebody had mentioned about being safe. What I like about it is it's like a safe space where you're able to kind of try out the things, the skills that you're going to need for, whether it's your career or business, because we don't really, if you mess up out there, you might lose a client, or, you might not look so great in your job, or, get reprimanded or whatever, versus like here where we're able to practice these things in the safe space of the support, and then go, once we've honed them, then, you can go and, put them in place in your business or your career.
Absolutely. That's one of the ways that I helped fill chair positions and board positions for the upcoming year at Open, is having those conversations with members about their goals for their business and their growth, and trying to match up those goals and their priorities with opportunities in ABWA. It wasn't a conversation like, we need you to be the treasurer this year, or we need someone to do the newsletter. Can you help us out? The approach is different because we're providing them a opportunity, a value. It's a different proposition, and you get less resistance because people are open to you helping them in their goals. Rochelle has something she wanted to say.
And Keller, you're so right. And just listening to everyone and just remembering 5 years ago when I was coming in to ABWA. And as you said, Keller, as we all look at the different professional organizations that we're a part of, ABWA stands in its own lane. We're not like anyone else. And Ruth, you were sharing about the diversity. Just take a look here. I love the fact that we are non-industry specific, non-religious, and non-political. So what it does is it gives every woman a platform on a foundation that is women. It's women coming together, and we all bring something to the table, but we all have something that we can give. And Ruth, now who is it? Bonnie, how long have you been a member? I didn't get it earlier.
2 years.
2 years, okay. And I didn't get Barbara's. Barbara, you've been a member for how long?
Since 2016.
Okay, 2016. And then Kim, you've been a member for how long?
I've been a member 7 years.
7 years. Okay. So here tonight, we have from 2 years to 39 years. Is that not amazing? That is awesome. And so, Joyce said, wow, am I the oldest one? No, Joyce, you hold the wisdom. Joyce, you hold the wisdom, but each one of us brings so much. And Ruth, when you said the diversity and being able to learn from all women, I love that. I love that.
Thank you, Rochelle. All right, we're going to move on. Revitalization. So once we have our value proposition, one of the things that we can focus on is really making guests and new members feel welcome. The graphic on here says, someone talk to me, please. Have you ever been at a meeting or an event that you don't know anyone or you don't know people that well, and you walk in and you're by yourself and you're looking and you don't recognize anybody and no one necessarily comes up to you? How does that make you feel? Do you feel good or do you feel
Not
really
welcome.
uncomfortable?
Uncomfortable and not very welcomed. Like, what am I doing here?
It's
I need
not
to go find a
it's
place
not a
in the
good
corner.
feeling at
No.
all. And so one of the things that I'd love to challenge our leagues to do is make sure that when someone comes in and you don't know them, to make a point to come up to them with a smile on your face, introduce yourself, ask them about themselves, get themselves talking and get them comfortable, and introduce them to as many people as possible in the room. This is really important because maybe they don't connect with you. Maybe they're in a totally different industry or they're a different age group and you don't have a lot in common with that individual. That happens sometimes. If they don't know an individual and they only meet one person that they sit next to at a dinner or two people that they're talking to, and they don't make that connection with those one or two people, they're probably not going to come back. But if you introduce them to multiple individuals in the room and they have excitement to meet other people, hopefully they'll connect with one or two other individuals. So I really encourage you, especially with new members or guests, to help them create those connections. If you find out that person is a pet lover, for example, I foster animals. So you want to make sure they get introduced to me, because even though it's not a business related connection, we have something in common, that we love animals. And so we'll have something to talk about and start to build that relationship on. When we have new members, setting them up with mentors, and we don't have anyone on the call tonight from Siphon. Their group actually has a mentorship program. I don't know if any other leagues that are on the call have a mentorship program, but they match individuals up with a mentor as a new member to help facilitate, in addition to doing the orientation. Does anyone have a program like that at their league? No? So that's an opportunity here to match people up with mentors to help them get the most out of their membership. Educate new members. Not all leagues are doing orientations. Depending on how many new members, it would be awesome if you had so many new members that you had to do orientations every month. Some leagues do regular orientations. Some do them less frequently. This can be a one-on-one process or a small group, but it's important to educate new members. Tell them about the ABWA history, the roles and responsibilities of the membership. This is kind of where you set the stage of that we want you to be an engaged member. We don't want you to just give us your check and then never see us again, right? We want you to come to our programs and events. We want you to network. We want you to participate in committees to get the most out of your membership. Share all of the different opportunities available. One of the recommendations is you could present this in maybe a fun way, like a form of a game, a bingo or Jeopardy. Continue new member training by sharing information on the committees and the different opportunities for personal growth and learning. When we have a orientation process that we teach them about ABWA. They've already bought into the organization, but we can educate them about how they can get the most out of their membership. They're going to hit the ground running, and they'll be more plugged in and engaged throughout their first year of membership, which in turn will help with your renewal for year 2. Does any league do a formal orientation? I'd love to hear what you do if it's successful. Let's share ideas.
VPN does one quarterly. We try to do them right after the membership drive, so that everyone that's joined during the membership drive, we have a new member orientation. We do go over the ABWA history, roles and responsibilities. We go over community connections, Apex courses, and we do play a little game that about the history of ABWA.
Thanks for
Tracy,
sharing.
do you do yours in person or by Zoom?
In person.
Okay. We've done ours by Zoom, but it's functional. I think it would be a little bit better maybe if we did it in person.
We usually do it at lunch and provide pizza or something like that for them to come.
Does anyone else do an orientation that they have some things that they feel are really effective?
Kella, at our orientation, and we've done it both ways, in person and virtually, but each committee chair goes over information for their committee. And that also helps for new members to see and choose what committee they want to be on if they haven't chosen one yet, and ask their questions. And that really helps more of our members to become engaged.
Thank you for sharing that. I believe Stipend does theirs in person. I'm really excited. District 6 is doing a district-wide membership orientation. I think that might be this week. And I've already talked to Velma, who is the District 6 Vice President, about the process that they have involved. And for leagues that are a little bit smaller, that don't have a huge number of individuals to do an orientation, I think that might be a good way to get them engaged, but also give them maybe a bigger picture about ABWA when they get to interact with people from all over the district. So stay tuned. We may be trying something like that. I'm going to wait and hear from Velma to see what her feedback was from hers. But I think that is a great idea for the orientation process, because Open is a smaller league and we don't have a huge influx. We had like 3 new members in March. I personally, as the president, made phone calls to those new members and had discussions with them about what they wanted to get out of their membership and where we could plug them in the league and get them excited about what the membership has to provide. And that's another opportunity. If you don't do a formal orientation, you might not get all of the other pieces, but you can build on those, the ABWA history and what the district looks like and all of those things as future learning opportunities as well. So the other thing that we want to talk about when we're making people feel welcome is to welcome their ideas and their suggestions. And don't be afraid to try new things. This is something that I'm going to ask you to be bold and brave, because we may have individuals in our league that are comfortable with the status quo. And if you have someone that makes a recommendation, sometimes you get some new people in roles that they're like, oh, I have this great idea, I want to try this. And you get some negative Nelly naysayer who says, oh, we tried that and it didn't work, or that's not the way we do things here. And I'm going to challenge you to, it's okay to try new things. If you're not happy with the way your league is operating now, in terms of growth and vitality, it's important to try new things and do different things to get different results. And if you try something and it doesn't work, it's okay. You scrap that idea and you try something else and you keep pushing through until you find something that's going to work for your league. It's also not cookie cutter. So what works for one league may not work for another league. But one of the reasons that we have this cohort is to share ideas with one another, because a lot of times things will work from one league to another, and we can take things that a league is doing successfully and utilize it and replicate it in our league. Does anyone have any feedback on that? Maybe if you've had a naysayer in your league and how you overcame that resistance to change?
I can talk a little bit about what I've attempted to do. My
Go for it.
philosophy on it. So I come up against the convert. What I see is a desire to bring in younger members, to bring in more just different demographics. And that tends to go up against a conversation of a lot of who do we need to become in order to attract that type of member? Who do we need to become? How do we need to add things that are value added to new businesswomen, to young moms, to moms who have teens or in high school or junior high, different demographics. And what I really try to do is have an open forum about what do you see, because a lot of my members are out there in other networking group and other organizations, and trying to get in that mindset of who is our target member and what is the value added now to bring them here. And what I find is that the things that it's that basic thing of, if it isn't producing the results you want, find something that will become something that will attract the results you need. And for us, it gets into a bog down of, this is what is wanted. Like, I did a lot of investigation, did a lot of talking. I also did guest orientations, which is where I found a lot of this information out. So if there was a meeting that I had 5 or 6 guests, I didn't want them leaving before they knew what we had going. So I would have a little 10, 15 minute after our meeting off to the side or in another room where where we would do a quick presentation of what we offer that we don't go over in every meeting, and then have a couple people give a few testimonials. But more of that is to sit and find out, what are they looking for? What do they need? And through that, I found that they wanted a lot more networking. They wanted a lot more community connectivity. They wanted connection to service work, community service work. And where the stump came that I tended to find was, there was the group that was willing to embrace that and take it on, versus the group of, that's just not who we are. We've been here for 30 years and that's not what we do. So I can't say that I said we had a modicum of success that would kind of get started, but having that longevity. But I think it goes back to what you said about building the numbers becomes about value added and finding out what's needed. And from what I heard with the people once I was here, that the theme was a lot of connectivity and networking and friendship is where it starts. The secret values are what you find as you're digging. And so for me, it's always been that question of, how do we become something new and fresh that will attract that new member and compare to what's going on in the world right now and what they're seeking. Does that make sense?
Yes, great points there. Thank you, Kim, for sharing those. And a lot of the things that she mentioned that you're hearing from prospective members are things that I found in my research about millennials, as well as a generational expert. these younger generations, they want networking, they want community service and involvement in the community. They are not that focused on the leadership development that is one of the tenets of ABWA. Remember how I said that the values that everyone has and the things that we get out of the experience may be different based on what we need or want. So if you're trying to attract that younger individual, you want to promote the networking opportunity as an example of that particular value that you have in your monthly programs. Someone else, a Gen X person, might find that the leadership development is more their focus area of where they're getting their value. And so knowing what the person's desires are and their goals and their intentions, you can address the value proposition differently. So membership retention is one of our key results areas for ABWA. It is vital to our success and vitality in the long haul. And these numbers are based on professional associations in general. Ideal membership retention for associations is about 80%, meaning that 20% of your members are not going to renew. Some membership loss is inevitable, whether it's death of members, sadly, people moving out of area, people losing jobs, focus in their priorities, retirement. Not everyone who's retired wants to remain a member. So we have some membership loss. 68% of professional associations face challenges in membership growth. 68%. So if you're struggling and you're not meeting that 80%, I want you to know that you're not alone. There are lots of people in the same boat, but let's look at the process for gaining and retaining members and see where we can move the needle some, shall we? So we have this membership funnel, and we start here at the top. This is where we catch the new prospective members, and we work through the steps until we get to that smaller area that they're a partner and they're recruiting and sponsoring new members. They're inviting people to meetings. So let's look at this process a little bit closer. So the first step is capturing their interest. This is the initial contact. And this contact may come from different places. It may come from your website. If you were on the Just in Time webinar, Renee talked about the importance of keeping your website up to date. They might have seen a flyer. And I'll tell you, sometimes I look at flyers for events and it might have the league name, but it doesn't say where the city is on the flyer. It doesn't say where the meeting is. So if I'm trying to figure out if this is something, is this a virtual event? Can I attend on Zoom? I can't tell from the flyer. Some of this might be initial contact through social media. The initial contact might be seeing you wear your ABWA name badge when you're getting groceries and someone says, hey, what's this ABWA? And so it opens the conversation. It's that initial contact. It might be booking a ticket to come to your program on your Eventbrite. Prospective members are invested when they're looped into how your organization operates. When you're making connections, because it's usually a layered approach. Most of the people you come in contact with are not going to join after the first meeting. There are some, but the majority of people have to have multiple contacts or touch points to close the sale or to invest in the membership. So it's important to get them into these repetitive touch points, getting them to follow you on social media, getting them to subscribe to your Eventbrite list. When they buy tickets and you have their email address, adding them to your MailChimp newsletter. The more they hear about the workings of the association, the things that you're doing, the more you're top of mind. People have a really short memory. nowadays. So if you're not touching them in their personal life through email, through social media, showing up on their feed, getting notifications for events, you're out of mind. They kind of forget about you. And we don't want them to forget about ABWA. So we need to figure out ways that we can continually interact with them in between our monthly program events. Make sense? Step 2 in the funnel. So we're moving down to the next area. There's some people that may stay up in that capture and they don't really engage. Maybe they come to an event and they stay on your email list and they don't come to things on a regular basis, but that's okay because you're still top of mind and they may eventually move down into that next part of the funnel, the creating a relationship. This is where you nurture that relationship. To have a good relationship with people in the sisterhood and the friendships that we talked about, that takes work. It takes effort to get to know people. And when you have prospective members, you need to get to know them as a person, and they need to get to know you. And part of that relationship, in addition to the individual interacting with you at your programs, is, again, those touch points over and over and over. Sending follow-up emails, newsletters, even phone calls. Phone calls are a great way to get in touch with prospective members. Or in our millennial or younger group, text message is a better methodology to follow up with them and make that connection. Make them feel appreciated. I went to a networking event a few months back for a competitor association that's in my Dallas metro area to see what they were about. And one of the things that stuck out to me was the president of the association, the local association, wrote me a handwritten thank you note for attending the meeting, which was, it was meaningful that she went to all the effort to do that. She also, when I initially registered on the website and they saw that I was not a member, I got a phone call from them asking if I had any questions, letting me know about kind of the structure of the meeting, that I need to bring business cards and all of the details. And that established that connection before I had ever gone to the event. So this extra step of giving them a little bit of personalized attention really makes a difference. It makes people feel valued. Then we have step 3. This is the conversion. This is when we invite someone to join the professional association, invite them to join ABWA. Some leagues might offer specific incentives at certain times of the year, like a discount on their first year of membership to the local association, highlighting the membership benefits, emphasizing the key aspects of the membership experience. And we talked already about the what's in it for me flyer that you can provide. Some of the leagues might have brochures. The PowerPoint, you can always use that as a presentation. I have a video on YouTube that's also available on the ABWA member experience that I did, I think it was last year, about choose your journey. It's like a choose your own adventure book. And you can even use that link and allow people to listen to that webinar on demand on YouTube to find out more about the association. Oops. And the last step is to partner, to get them engaged. So this is when once someone says, yes, I'm in, sign me up for ABWA, and they fill out their membership paperwork, what's next? We have to get them engaged. And we talked a little bit about this earlier with orientation having some sort of orientation or welcome. And I love the idea that Kim provided about doing the guest orientation. Some organizations do that on a regular basis at the beginning of the meeting. They have, they invite guests to come like 15 minutes early for a little preview of the organization before they come to the actual event. Again, using the ABWA benefits and resources, PowerPoint, the What's in it for me flyer, match their needs with opportunities in your league. Get them plugged in so that they're active members and they're contributing to the success of your league. Create that sisterhood that Tracy talked about earlier, about the importance of making those connections and friendships. Ask them to invite people that they know, women that they come in contact with, to the monthly programs. Ask them to share your content on social media, to share your events with people that they know. I was at an event in Seattle this weekend, and I was talking to a friend of mine who had a booth at this particular event. And I was telling her, we were catching up on what we have been doing for the last year since I spoke with her last. And I mentioned that I'm a volunteer leader with the American Businesswomen's Association. I gave her a quick synopsis of what we do. And she said, I'm definitely interested. Send me information. And it was a casual conversation. It wasn't designed to be a recruiting, but it's just sharing the opportunity with people that you come in contact with. Now she's in Seattle, so she can attend our events via Zoom. Does anyone have any ideas of ways that they're getting people engaged in their leagues that they would like to share?
Well,
Alright.
Kella, I'll share one of the
Yes.
things that you spoke of earlier, as far as in actually speaking with each member, finding out why they're here, what their interests are, what they would like to learn and get out of it, is one of the ways that we have been able to assist members in getting engaged. I know that it's a lot in the beginning when they're joining. It's a lot to know about and to learn. And so there's like that 90-day window as they're grasping each part of it and learning more, that they're looking to see how they fit in. They've said yes, they've invested in themselves. Now, okay, now what do I do? But just going back to what you shared earlier, that's key, because that's what they're looking for. And that's what's going to help us retain them. So as we gain new members, it's also retaining them for the long haul. And them being engaged in what they're looking for really helps that to happen.
Thank you, Rochelle. And to build on that, I think it's also important to reach out to members. If you do have someone that you haven't seen in 2 or 3 meetings, someone needs to be picking up the phone and calling that person to find out why they've stopped attending. It may be health reasons. It may be that they got a new job and their schedule doesn't mesh very well with your league schedule. Let's get them plugged in and figure out how we can help them re-engage. If your league schedule doesn't work for them anymore, let's find another league that they can plug into. Let's offer, find a meeting that they can attend via Zoom. It doesn't necessarily have to be in their area, but let's get them plugged in and engaged in ABWA to retain them as members. When I reached out to a member a few months back that we hadn't seen for a couple months. And when I reached out to them, I found out that they had had several surgeries and they weren't driving. So it made it hard for them to come to the meetings. And I reminded them that we have the Zoom option and that we really miss seeing them, that we'd love to see them back. And I think in the last 6 months, they've only missed one meeting since that phone call. So just picking up the phone and showing the individual that we cared to find out about them made the difference in them being re-engaged. So we want to involve members, and this is where I want to talk a little bit more and get your feedback. Help your members develop an elevator pitch about their membership. This should not sound salesy, because I think it's a turnoff when we go to an event and someone gets like real salesy when they're trying to introduce themselves, but it's more just an educational, informational piece about what they got out of the membership. This is where they get personal, because it's that personal touch that attracts people, and it's more of a soft sell versus a hard pushy sell of recruiting a new member. So asking your members to reflect on, why are they members? What's the biggest benefit of membership? Can they explain the purpose of ABWA? This could actually be a program, how to do an elevator pitch, an elevator speech, because when you go to events, a lot of times you have 30 seconds to introduce yourself, and your introduction can be different based on the audience. But if you have a ABWA elevator speech, you can introduce people in large venues to ABWA. Usually my ABWA elevator introduction involves the fact that at my league, you can attend the first Zoom meeting for free. Oftentimes that's my little hook that gets people to come up to me after the meeting and say, hey, I heard that I can attend for free the first time. Give me some more information. League business cards. You can do a little raise your hand if you have league business cards. This is a great way to encourage your members when they're out in the community to give a league business card with their personal business card and invite them to an event. We have generic ones for ABWA Open that has our information. And when I'm out at events, I share both of those. Member stories and testimonials. Again, getting people to capture this information. You can do videos. You can have them write up a little blurb and get their picture and put it on your social media. Those testimonials will attract people to your league. And then making sure that we personally follow up with each and every prospect for our leagues. Sometimes people don't join because we never asked. Maybe they came as a guest of someone, or they were a speaker, and we never said, hey, I hope you enjoyed your time. We really appreciate you coming to speak. We would love to have you consider joining our league. What do you think? Let's set up a time to talk about it. We have untapped potential in reaching out to these individuals. If we're not following up, we don't have that touch point to create that relationship. Yes, Rochelle says, showing that we care is so important. Oops. So we want to recruit all the time and in different ways. Different ways you're going to get different touch points in your community. Here in Dallas, we've had really good success with our Wine, Women, and Networking. We actually have one tomorrow that is a free event that we get a happy hour event set up at a winery, and we show up there and it's informal networking. And usually we highlight several ABWA members and just share a little snippet about their story. Again, it's like a soft sell. They're getting to know you as a person and a little bit about the organization. Charity events, whether you attend a charity event together. I know the ladies down in Houston, there's the Women of Excellence Gala. That is a big event that they attend. That would be a great event to invite prospective guests to come with you, because it's really special. ABWA Open, we're volunteering at a community event coming up as a way to get exposure and bring that awareness about ABWA. Participating in chamber events. I know a lot of leagues participate in chamber events. This is another opportunity that you pass out both the business cards, you share about what's happening in your league. Some leagues do a business spotlight event. It's like a business expo. Sometimes these events are just for members, businesses, sometimes they're community events. And if you do it as open to not just your own members, you have the opportunity to attract prospective members by offering something of value through that exposure. Fun socials. Charisma did a social recently, an axe throwing social, and the event was on Eventbrite, and they had 6 non-member guests at that event. So don't be afraid to open up your socials and advertise those to prospective members. Last year, our Christmas party, we had 2 people buy tickets for the Christmas party that weren't members of our local league. So there's always opportunities to connect. People like fun things, especially the younger groups. Coffee meet and greets. There are a number of leagues that do meet and greet coffee meetups once a month. These are a great way to get someone to get to know you, just like the Wine Women in Networking, a low commitment for them to show up. Usually these are free and they buy their coffee, and it's a short event that they can be in and out and get to know you as a league. Using the tools that you have to impact people, social media, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, Reels, and Shorts. These are the top 4 that I would recommend that you use. But the key here, and this is a very important point for social media, is that social media, the climate is changing with the algorithms. And if you're salesy, your posts are not going to be viewed. So if you're writing posts the same that you did last year and you're just posting events, people aren't seeing your stuff. What is resonating with the algorithms and will get you better viewpoints and better results is emotional storytelling, telling personal stories, sharing information about your members, anecdotes. The real impact that ABWA has will encourage prospective members to engage and be a part of the mission. This is the things that will also boost the algorithm, and so more people will start hearing your story. They want to hear stories. It goes great with the theme this year, Discover Your Story, sharing your story, your personal story, not just the generic. Everyone can figure out and recite the mission. The mission is on the website. Let's make it more personal and tie in pieces of the mission to your personal life. We also have those traditional marketing approaches, flyers in local businesses, a brochure. We just updated our brochure and printed out a couple copies. What we also have availability of being able to download that as well. Placing your league materials at businesses, share the information with new chamber members or new business owners as those notices come up in media. Make sure you have meeting details in local newsletters. If communities have free newsletters, get plugged in and send them your meeting notice every month. Community calendars, these are usually free advertising. Radio interviews and podcasts. I think this is really an untapped area because radio interviewers and podcasters, I do a podcast, I'm always looking for guests. There are probably hundreds of podcasters in the Dallas-Fort Worth metro area, as an example. And podcasts are international, so you could really do podcasts with people from all over. But this is free advertising. You could talk to someone in their podcast about ABWA. And I did that last month, and I cannot wait for that episode to be released, because that is something that I'll be able to reshare over and over. But it also gives us great visibility. And media releases, when things happen like outright grants and scholarships and Woman of the Year and top 10 nominees. All of these should have PR releases to get exposure. Send those pictures from your events to your local newspapers to get published. So in closing, we want to engage members in inviting and welcoming culture. We want to create those personal stories of the value of membership and share your story to connect with others. Interact with prospective members in all stages of their membership, from the initial contact to partnering with them and helping them to share their story. And think about, if you implement even just a few things that we talked about in tonight's session in your league, what would your league look like if you were able to add 5 new members this year, or 10? How would that impact the energy level, the ability to get things done, the impact that you could make in your community? What would that look like? Who's excited to help their leagues grow and revitalize?
I love this, Kella. I cannot tell you how much this just hits the spot with exactly where we are in our league. And I'm super excited to go back and share it with our team. So with our group. Thank you.
You're welcome. Does anyone else have any other feedback or comments? Well,
Ella,
yeah.
I really have something I'd like to say, because I really feel that what you covered here really is the energy, the excitement, and the enthusiasm that prospective members have to hear from us, you know, and not only prospective members, but seasoned members that have been around for a while really need to be reintroduced to the excitement of being a member of ABWA. And I really think that that new PowerPoint and that handout about what's in it for you is going to be a great promo opportunity, because it's captured very, very shortly. You know, it's a good handout. So anyway, great job covering a lot of material. Thank you very much. Good job.
Thank you everyone for attending. I will be uploading this recording
Oh, good.
to the YouTube channel. So if you want to go back and watch it or share it with your league members, it's not secret or anything, even though it was exclusive for the leadership cohort and you guys got to see it first. I welcome you to share away, utilize this information, and let's start some conversations. And if you have any sticking points that come up as you're trying to implement and support growth in your league related to this, please reach out to me, reach out to the National Board of Directors. We are here to help you succeed and help your league and your members grow and thrive. Thank you everyone for attending tonight. We will be scheduling our next quarterly event soon. Have a great night.
Thanks, Kella.
Thanks, Kella.
Thank you, Kella.
Thanks, Kella. Great job.
Thanks, Kella.
And great
Varun.
ideas,
Yeah,
everyone.
Varun.
You knocked it out. You knocked it out the park. Thank you
Yes.
so much.
And I
Yeah,
love all the
you're welcome.
ideas and the
Me
thoughts.
too.
Thank
Me
you.
too.
Thank
Like
you.
it a lot. Yep. Good work.
Good night, District 2.
Night.
Bye,
Good
Hey,
night.
Barbara.
Good
Good
night.
night.